Good afternoon and welcome back to the second teleconferencing session for the students of Diploma in Nursing Administration. We have discussed in our earlier session about the supervision, and one of the very important aspect which was explained by the expert was guidance to be given to the subordinates. Also it was explained that how counseling is required when a particular nurse goes through some problems or there may be some problem in the ward. So guidance and counseling is important for every individual at some time of life, as mentioned earlier by an expert, that there is need for guidance and counseling at some part of life for everyone. So what is this guidance? How do we differentiate guidance from counseling? We'll be discussing about methods and techniques of guidance and counseling which you will be using as nurse administrator. So let us first know what is guidance and what is counseling. In the studio we have experts, Mrs. Syriac on immediate right to me, who belongs to St. Stephen Hospital and School of Nursing. She is a principal of School of Nursing. And extreme right we have Ms. Cora, who is a nursing director at St. Stephen Hospital. We are happy to have both of you with us. Let us talk what is guidance and how do you differentiate it from counseling. Mrs. Syriac, would you like to explain the difference, please?
The guidance, if you are taking the meaning of guidance, this is a help given by one person to another in developing the goals, making the adjustment and solving the problems that is facing by that particular person. But when you are taking it counseling, if we can say, it is a series of direct contact with the individual which aims to offer him assistance in changing his attitudes and behavior. It is a continuous process. So a series of direct contact, it will be having a direct contact with the individual which aims to offer him the assistance in changing his attitudes and behavior. So that is the term which is the difference between the guidance and counseling.
So if you go back to the slide, it says guidance is the help given by one person to another in developing goals and also making adjustment in solving various problems. Whereas as you very rightly explained about the counseling, it is a series of direct contact with the individual. That means counseling, a person would have problem for which the person is required to be helped too, and it aims to offer help in changing the attitude or changing the behavior of an individual related to that particular problem which a person is having. I think that's a very simple way of explaining what is guidance and what is counseling. Would you like to elaborate something more on guidance,
Yes,
please?
So the various definitions, if we understand that about the guidance, guidance is more organized service and not merely an incidental activity. We have to have organize. We have to organize. When you are giving a guidance to a particular person, we have to organize. Without organizing, we cannot able to give a proper guidance. It has the definite purpose. There should be a purpose and objective. Before giving a guidance, the person who is giving the guidance should have a organized way and to have a purpose. And guidance is neither an instruction or an education in any sense. It is not an education which is giving to a particular person. It is not an instruction which is giving to a particular person. That particular person needs the guidance in a continuous way for improving herself or whatever need she is in need. Guidance is both a specialized and generalized service in which we can say there are so many people can be involved. So guidance can be given by a counselor, guidance can be given by a teacher, guidance can be given by a parent also. When the child is growing, the counseling or the guidance is needed from both. When they are very young in the home, the parents are the one who is giving the guidance. Sometimes sometimes the children will be complaining that mama is not having the time to talk to us. But it is the thing is that the parents should get the particular timing and to guide that our children in the proper. That means parents are also one of the major, having the major part in giving a good guidance for the children. That means the teachers, when the child is going to the school, the teachers are the guidance. That is somewhere in the young ages we can see that when a child is going to the school, if she comes back and make a mistake or something like that, the mother will say that is not correct, but the child will say that no, my teacher has told. She has got the full confidence in the teacher because she thinks that she is a very good guidance, receiving a very good guidance. So she has a very good belief in that one. And that means these are the areas, that means parents also, these are the people who make a role play in making an individual, to guide an individual in the proper way. Guidance is meant for all. It is not for one particular person. Sometimes people will say that I am a supervisor, I don't need any guidance. I am in charge of that particular, I am the principal school of nursing, I did not need any guidance. It is not like that. Each individual is needed the guidance. That means guidance is meant for all. Each individual needs the guidance because each individual should grow to the optimum. For growing up, for if a child, in the case of a school, if the teacher is guiding, if the parents are guiding, especially in the case of when the child is writing the 10th examination, the teacher and the parent is the one who has to guide which subject the child has to take. Before giving the guidance, the mother, the parent should know what is the child is liking or not. Sometimes, for example, sometimes when we are taking the counseling, the students of nursing students, some students will say that, no, I was not having any interest. My parents has forced me to make this one. So that means the guidance by the parent was not correct. That means the child ability, the child capability should be seen, and then we should guide the child in the way in which she has to. The interest of the child also should be taken by giving the guidance. Guidance is a continuous and dynamic process. It is not stopping anywhere, because when the day-to-day programs are going up, every individual, there is no stoppage in the growth of an individual, in the education of an individual. So guidance is always needed. It is a continuous process and it is a dynamic process where we need it in a continuous way.
I think this is a very simple way of explaining what is guidance and how do you summarize what is guidance. But there are certain principles of guidance and counseling. Like you said, guidance is for all. Excuse me, please. You mentioned guidance is for all, and guidance and counseling are a continuous process. Ms. Kora, would you like to explain some of the other principles which are to be kept in mind when we are talking about guidance and counseling, please?
The principles of guidance and counseling, as Mrs. Siriak said, guidance is for all. All of us do have shortcomings. All of us do work and react in various ways. Many a times we do act immaturely, no matter in what position we are, no matter what work we do. So all of us need to have guidance and counseling at some point in our life. Second point is, it's a continuous process. A nurse who is good at work need to know that she is doing that particular task well. Her patients appreciate. But she may be weak in some part, in some procedure, in some dealings with the patient. So, letting her know her good points and guiding her through and taking her out of her weak points is needed. Guidance covers the individual as a whole. That means when we are guiding a person, we need to see the overall growth of the person. Not that we are telling, oh, your personal problems and your family problems are yours. We in the profession, we don't have anything to do with that. No. In nursing profession especially, when we are doing it, the supervisors need to see the person as a whole. Her personal, family, social and the professional problems goes together. Why it is so? Because a person who is carrying her family problem or a social problem to the working area, invariably it affects her work. Then the individual differences are to be concerned and considered duly. Why? Because a nurse will be different from nurse B. You cannot expect the same kind of work, you cannot expect the same kind of expertise from nurse A and B. A may be good in some things, B may be good in some other things. The guidance need to be done with a team approach. But I personally feel not only team approach, individual approach in guidance is more important, because one individual who is needing guidance in a specific area will be expecting supervisor to show her how that particular procedure to be done, or how to deal with that particular problem, or tell her where she has done good and where she has gone wrong. And it is part of education and vocational program. As Mr. Siriak said, in education, when a student nurse comes into the profession, mother or father tells her, well, nursing is a profession, you take it, you will be getting a job. That may be the intention from the parent's side. But a student who is not interested will never be able to give quality care to a patient when she becomes a staff. The guidance needs to be seen as a professional activities, because the professional training in guidance is required. A trained counselor, a trained person in doing it will be able to guide an individual in a better way than an untrained person. Guidance needs to be based on facts and reliable data. Not that, oh, so-and-so nurse came and talked such and such thing about you, so this is what is happening in your working area. That type of approach, if a supervisor is having, it will not be leading to a good interpersonal relationship, and that will be affecting the working pattern of the nursing personnel. And guidance need to be flexible, because if it is based on flexible approach, then the methods what we select in guidance also will be varied. In order to get the best output from a worker, we need to have the flexible approach.
Well, I think these are some of the very important principles which needs to be kept in mind when you are planning guidance and counseling, because one cannot use one approach for one particular individual and same approach for another person. It has to be really individualized, and of course it is a continuous process, and a professional body must remember that guidance and counseling is required by any individual who is working through a stressful situation like nursing, where the patients are under stress, where the team workers are under stress, where the nursing personnel are under stress. There are stress of patient's condition, there are stresses of equipment and supplies, there are stresses due to emotional factors of the relatives. So guidance and counseling is required for that. But what are some of the types of guidance, Mrs. Siriak? Would you like to explain, please?
Type of guidance is of educational guidance is there, then vocational guidance is there, and then social guidance is there, and health guidance. So I will explain about the educational guidance. We can see that to bring about a wholesome development of the individual, that means changing times is there, the time is changing, and the changing of education system is also changing. Nowadays, when every year there is a different types of educational changes are there, that means various courses are coming up. So when the child, that's why in the beginning also I had told you, when the child is on the 10th class, it is the parent's decision or the guidance is to be given which area, that for instance the child has to take a science subject, or the child has to take a commerce subject, or science has to take which subject. That means we should not force that. Parents should not force, or the guidance who is giving the guidance should not force the child. Should see the intellectual or interest of the child, whether the child is more intelligent to go. For example, every parents may want to send the girl for the child for MBBS, or to make a doctor, or to make an engineer. That is not the aim. We should see that what is the capacity of my child. Whether if I am sending my child is able to do it that. If I forcefully send him for MBBS, or if I give some donation nowadays, people are giving and going for that. The child may not be able to cope up with that, and finally it will end into psychological problems for the students. So students need the guidance to decide and select a course which should suit them the best. That means it will depend upon her, the intelligence, the interest, the aptitude and understanding how she can able to do it. So the selection should be like that. That means the guidance help the student understand the possibility of further schooling, and which subject she has to take when she is going to the particular school. Different technical things are there, industrial things are there, commercial situations are there. So we should give a proper guidance when we are going to a particular school. These are the things which is to be there. For example, in the case of joining a nursing profession, after the 12th, the parents should say that these are the things. Students may not be able to know what are the things which is to be done for this this area. So it should be very important that educational guidance is a very important thing in the case of this, for solving the problems. And vocational guidance, that means the person which occupation that I had to take. The same thing. Vocational guidance is giving for information, experience and advice with regard of choosing an occupation. It is very important which job I had to take. The same thing, whether I had to take a technical, whether I had to go for a nursing profession, whichever, whatever may be. That means choosing an occupation or preparing for it, that means the proper guidance is needed. If the particular person is not interested, we should not force that particular person to go into that particular profession. And for in the case of if you are taking, what is the need of a vocational guidance is needed. That means individuals differ in their capabilities. One child may be able to understand very quickly, and one child may be getting intelligent and getting scoring good marks, interest is there, and she is fit for that particular course. So you should see that individuals differ in their capabilities, interest and fitness for job. So the guidance who is giving should also see that whether she is fit into that particular job or not. Bad job can lead to bad health also. For example, in the case of this one, my eyesight is weak. If I am getting a chance to work in a computer room, so when before selecting that particular occupation, whether I am suited for that, whether I am able to healthy for that, if my eyesight is okay, if any deformity is there for my eyesight, if I am putting in that particular occupation, for example, in the computer room, what is happening? Already my eyesight is weak, and again, if I am forcing to do that particular job, that if I am selecting that particular job, it will give us my problem of the eye. Then the diversity in occupation, that is also very important. Students find it difficult to select an appropriate occupation and therefore needs the guidance. So that is very important. We have to give a proper guidance for this particular peoples. Then the personal guidance, that is very, very important thing for that means this is not only by one particular person, this is including at so many people. That means the parents are included. For a personal guidance, the parents are more important, teachers are there, the elders are also important, the seniors are also very important. That means giving in this type of guidance in the form of its bits to the youngest, that means younger people. That means they had psychological needs like security, affection. As I told you, I have read a book in the recent 2 days before that one child is writing that what are the needs which is lacking from the parents. They are telling the parents are not finding a time. We need the parents and we need the guidance from the parents. We need that these are the jobs. Make us responsible for going with the, why can't they take us for when they are going for the marketing? Why can't you give us some responsibilities for us? That means we need a guide. The parents are the one who has to give a particular guidance for their children, and they should feel that the security is there. For example, if a student is coming to the nursing profession, it is our responsibility to give a proper guidance and give a security, because they are coming from different categories, different family backgrounds. Some may be very strict, some may not be having a very free way of doing it. So we have to give and they are away from the parents. They may be having the fear that whether it is safe here or not. So it is our responsibility who is giving the personal guidance to give a security, to give an affection. It is very important. To give an affection is very important. When the student is coming to us, approaching us, the affection is more important. To give a motherly affection to that, or whatever may be the need the child is needing. And recognition. We have to give a recognition for that particular students. And these are the belongings that require to be met by the parents. It is to be done by the parents, teachers and society. That is very important. Then only that means the proper guidance is needed so that they will become very good citizens of the world. Then social guidance, it is also very important. We are living in a society. We cannot able to run away from the society. Even if I am having a high qualification, I had done my whatever may be the highest qualification, I am living in a society. I should also know what are the rules, what are the things which is there in that particular society. So towards society. So social guidance makes an individual to understand his role in and responsibility in a particular society. It is the parents or the teachers or the elders has to give guidance to the particular. Whenever we are taking for a party, the parents' mother will say that when you are going there, you should behave like this. You should not behave like this. So these are the guidance, the proper guidance. Sometimes people say that up to 15 years of age is the age where we can give a good guidance for the particular person. After 15 years, they are growing up and they are entirely different things. So if the guidance, the proper way which the child has got up to the age of 15, she will be growing in that particular guidance. She may not be able to misguide in any other way if we are giving a proper guidance. So social guidance is also very important thing which is needed. And health guidance is the one which is, that means in the area of health. It is imparting information on health and health related issues also is to be given guidance for the children. For example, when the child is coming and then exposing to particular areas or something, we will say that these are the harmful things. You may have it, for example, if especially the boys, the parents are the one who has to give. Some may be having the habit of taking smoking. So it is that means that will make that it is a responsibility of the elder person or the parents or the teacher. Call that particular child and tell that it is affecting your health. So that means health guidance is also very important in this field. So guidance in nursing administration, I am sure that ma'am will continue to.
And I think this is very significant that when we talk about the guidance is preventive. As Mrs. Syriac had been mentioning, it is preventive aspect so that the child or the individual doesn't go into a problem, hence go into for the counseling session. So this is very significant. That is why this preventive approach is used, that we give them guidance in all the major areas. Guidance in education so that they are able to choose the career as per the requirement, as per their choice, as per the pre-preparation which they have done. Of course, in consultation with the family members they can do it, but there has to be many options given to them that what you can do. Ultimately selection is to be done by the individual person. Then vocational again is very significant because that is causing lot of stress on the parents and children, because the vocational guidance and the educational guidance become part and parcel together, because whatever vocation an individual wants to choose will depend upon what kind of education the person has gone through. Then personal problems are there. It is not that the problems are of such magnitude that they require a counseling, but guidance is needed, and for that there should be parents, teachers or relevant counselors available to just guide them that where they can go for what kind of help and what can happen. So that is why the education in the school is given on personal hygiene, on biological needs, on sexual needs, on nutritional needs, so that a preventive approach is used for health guidance as well as social guidance and the personal guidance. These are the areas which are required to be touched. We'll talk about guidance and counseling together in nursing administration. Let us just go back to counseling and what are the approaches used in counseling. Can we review back what is counseling and then talk about what are the approaches which are used in counseling, Ms. Kora?
Counseling is basically the assistance given to an individual who is facing some problem and finding his own self in a position in which he is not able to solve the problem. So it's a process which is helping a person to come out of that particular difficult situation. As Rogers defines it, it is the contact with the individual which aims to offer him assistance in changing his attitude and behavior. A problem may be leading the person to create specific attitude. Say for example, in nursing, a girl, a staff who is doing very good work, who is being appreciated by her own patients, is not getting the feedback from her supervisors that she is doing a good job. But when she continues to do that, at some turning point, she may say that, oh, what is the fun of doing this? And then the next point, she goes back to a stage in which she is least bothered about the patient, then she ends up in problem. At such situations, she needs to get guidance from the supervisors, and many a times when she is getting the guidance from the supervisors, she needs to understand that her problems are also being taken care of. She is being seen as an individual, and the supervisors are there to help her wherever there is need. The various approaches what we use for counseling are the directive approach or the dispensary approach. In the directive approach or the dispensary approach, what we do is like a dispenser. The person comes, you tell the person what is to be done, and you send the person away. That is like a dispenser who is solving the problem. A person who is needing the medicine goes to a dispenser, get the medicine, goes back. In the same way, when we are doing the counseling, that is called as the directive approach or the dispensary approach. The second approach is non-directive approach. That is the non-directive approach, instead of providing the ready-made remedy, that is instead of the dispenser giving a ready-made tablet for recovering from the disease situation, the counselor is helping the individual to find out the means and ways by which she can overcome that difficult problem. And it is every individual is able to solve his or her own problem. What they need is little directions, little understanding from other side, so that they can go ahead without having any problem. The third approach is the elective approach. In this, the counselor needs to understand that no two individuals are the same. Every individual is a specific identity. That is, if your nurse A is having a problem, it's not a must that nurse B need to have the same problem. Nurse A may be having full support from her family, and she may be a cheerful, efficient nurse in her clinical area, whereas B may be a nurse who is having some problem in her family, and she may not be able to cope up with the work what she is expected to do. The next approach what we have is group counseling. In group counseling, we need to select the group or select the participants of the group, and then we need to select the topic or starting of the session and the topic what we are going to decide. In nursing, when we say, suppose one particular ward, say for example medical ward is having a problem, you take the nursing person of that particular ward, discuss with them, listen to them, understand them, and then do their counseling. But the problems of surgical floor may not be the same as that of medical floor. The medical floor needs directions concerning care of medical patients, whereas surgical people will be needing care and the guidance and the problem solving techniques which are needed for the surgical care of patients.
I think the directive approach also is considered as more of when the client is not able to make any solution, is so confused, is so upset, where the counselor takes a lead role and authoritative role, and guides in a way, helps the person to visualize what is his or her problem, and then helps him to find various solutions and select one out of them. And that's a very stressful situation where the counselor has to make certain decision for the counselee, and counselee or the client needs that kind of direction sometimes. As you very rightly said, it is more of a dispensing, that everything ready-made you give it to the counselee, and counselee just takes it, swallows it, and wants to be all right. And that's where I think in nursing many times a person goes through a lot of stress and is not able to make decision, comes to the counselor to help him or her out to get through that problem. Then, as you said, non-directive is more of a participative. That means that the counselee comes with a problem and says that I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. So the counselor is just a via media through which the counselee is trying to ensure or trying to say that I think I'm right. I hope I'm right, and that kind of assurance and nodding the counselee is expecting from the counselor. And as you very rightly said, that there is a group counseling also. Group counseling would be mainly, maybe we conduct a talk for the teenager students. What could be the problems in the boys and the girls, and that we can talk as a group, because they feel very comfortable when we are talking in the group. You talk about the HIV/AIDS to these young school boys and girls. So that counseling helps and says that here is an example, or an alcoholic parent at home, and what would be the reaction of the children. Maybe a counseling is done by way of role play, by which the students are able to absorb that what kind of problems could be there. So I think these are various approaches which Ms. Kaura has discussed in detail, and I was thinking, let us talk about what could be the phases. How do we go about when we are planning counseling, Ms. Kaura?
When we are counseling, the first phase is introduction. That is, telling the group what you are going to discuss and what is the need of having that particular counseling. Then developing a rapport is important, because once we are developing the rapport, then only we are able to take the counseling forward. Otherwise, we will not be able to see, or we will not be able to listen to them. Once we are developing a good rapport, they will be able to feel free and talk freely with the counselor. The next point is assessment and identification of the problem. Once the counselor starts telling you, you need to be an active listener, then only you will be able to do the assessment.
Okay, you mentioned introduction and rapport development, and that's very important, and also identification of problem. That means what the counseling has come for, what is the difficulty the counseling is going through. So that would be significant. What is the other phase, Mrs. Syria, could you like to elaborate? Because Ms. Kaura mentioned the rapport building and identification of problem. What is the other phase?
The planning and intervention is very important. That is means when you are doing a counseling, it's not like that we came to know this is the problem of the particular individual. That counselor is coming to us and telling these are the problems I am facing. I may be first time I will be talking to her and I will be able to identify what are her problems. Then second sitting I may be able to plan how I can able to solve her problems. In which way I can give a counseling for her, and which are the ways she will be happy with when I am doing. So that means planning is, we cannot able to give a proper thing at the beginning itself, but we will listen to her very properly, identify, the assessment is very important, what are the main problems, why she is behaving like, which are the important areas she needs immediately the counseling. So planning is very important. Then after planning and doing, I have given the proper guidance and I have given the proper counseling for that particular person who has come to me as a counselee. So and after that, a follow-up is very important. Otherwise there is no meaning of my counseling. Once I had given a counseling, I should have a rapid interpersonal relationship with that particular person in a friendly way, so that we can able to know the effectiveness of my counseling, whether this particular person has got any change in his behavior or attitude, what was her complaint, what we have seen in her. So the follow-up is very important, and then termination is another one which is to be there when the end of the counseling. So these are the
I'm little particular about these phases also, and I really believe that there should be termination, because otherwise many a times there used to be earlier in schools of nursing and colleges of nursing a separate room made for counseling. It became so evident for the other students that who is entering in that room, and that did not have any privacy. Though there was privacy inside, but it did not have privacy that the student is entering in the room of a counselor, so she must be having a problem, or there is some problem with this particular student, so the student is going to counselor. So I think later on we thought, let us not have a separate room, and a student can be allocated number of counselors. You know, 10 students to one counselor and all that. That also didn't work out, because a particular student did not want to go to a particular teacher for counseling, wanted to choose. So then it was a choice. And I think these are very important things, and termination is very important. Follow up to an extent. And after that, I think there should not be any relationship in terms of that particular problem between the counselor and counselee. Not that in the corridor we make a talk, okay, I hope you are better. So the other friends look up, what's wrong with you? So that kind of a thing should be avoided, and termination should be final with that particular problem, unless or until a student comes up again and says that she or he is going through the problem and she needs the help. But otherwise, it may not be a corridor talk for the counselee and for the counselor, because as it is, counselee tries to avoid the counselor, because she or he does not want that the counselor should catch him or her in front of other friends. And that you should make it very clear to counselee, unless you want to talk to me, we are not going to discuss this issue on the corridors or anywhere else unless the help is expected from you. And that's what is very important in the termination. Otherwise, students don't come for the counseling to the counselor because of fear of not having privacy. And that is to be really maintained when the counselee is going to the counselor for the problem. Now let's talk about some of the guidance and counseling which we need to take care in nursing administration, Ms. Kaura.
In nursing administration, when we are taking care of the staff, developing a trust relationship is needed. Many a times, as I have told previously, you cannot expect the same kind of service from all nurses. But those who are good in something may be good in some things, they may not be up to the mark. When you call a person to your department for counseling, that person may ask, can I trust you?
Yes.
Many times this comes up. Why they ask that question? Because if you are not able to keep it confidentially, tomorrow few others will know and they may laugh at her. It may be something which is hidden, it may be something which is very personal, which is troubling her time and again. Second fear what the nursing personnel have is whether the supervisor will talk about it or react according to that particular situation and the difficulty. Well, this girl is having this problem, so she may not be able to take care of this kind of patients. That is another thing. And when we are doing the counseling, we need to be up to date with our knowledge. If our skill, if our knowledge is lacking behind, then the counselee will not be having enough confidence in us. Creating the environment of growth and development is equally important. When we are ready to give them what they need to learn, when we are ready to bring them up according to the institutional need and according to the personal need, they will be coming forward. And building up a culture of continuous learning is also important. If you are ready to build up a culture of learning, your staff will know that they are benefited from that particular process of learning. Very many times, we do not realize that non-management employees development we need to promote. Not only the supervisors, the staff nurses, if they are good in something, teach them more and make them efficient according to the situation. I personally know many people who have come forward and shown better nursing skills after counseling, because all the while they were working, they felt that there was nobody to care for them. When counseling started, they felt that their work is taken into account, their problems are heard, they are having somebody to listen to them. And in nursing profession, when we are counseling people, it makes a lot of difference for them. Their efficiency is accounted, their efficiency is taken into consideration, and they feel that if they improve in their skills, and in the long run they will be benefited from that. And many a times the people who are having problems ends up in lot of frustration. Whether the supervisors are considering that and behaving, or considering that and evaluating them, is also important. Many a times we don't see that like us, others also have the problems. The supervisors say, I don't have that problem in doing, then why can't she do it? Very often supervisors ask this, but that question may lead that nurse to lot of frustration. No matter in what category or what level you are working, no matter in which department you are working, monotonous things lead you into frustration. And very often the professional difficulties which are to be understood by the supervisors are overlooked, because they feel that the facts what the supervisors need to know is not to be considered, because if I tell that to that particular girl, she may not do the other work, then that will remain as a problem. The routine problems which comes up, they may be able to handle it efficiently, but difficulties when it comes, helping them to deal with it is also important. Many a times we do identify the training needs, like say for example a nurse who is to be posted in a critical care unit need to be prepared. She needs to know how to handle the equipments, she needs to know the actions of the drugs, the dosages, and many other nursing skills. To prepare her for that particular area's working, the supervisor needs to take the lead, teach them the basic things for handling a critically ill patient. Before putting her in a critical care area, the supervisor needs to put her in a general ward where patients who are not much dependent. Likewise, when the counseling is done, if the supervisors are taking care of the nursing personnel, their input towards the quality care will be much more.
I think this gives us an overview that what is guidance, what is counseling, what are some of the types of guidance we can give, and what are the approaches to counseling we can use. The discussion also highlighted some of the responsibility which nursing personnel have in providing guidance and counseling to the nursing personnel working with them, because as you both said that guidance and counseling is a continuous process, and if it is a continuous process, the nurse herself who is providing guidance and counseling needs to keep updating her knowledge and develop that kind of skills and see that what are the common problems with which the people may be coming for guidance, and what are the problems which are pending for such a long time where the persons require counseling. And let me tell you, and as Ms. Kora has mentioned, that moment you provide the counseling to the personnel, to your staff nurses, to your nursing personnel, you will find that the efficiency increases, the output increases, and they are able to work with more relaxed manner, with more understanding and decision making power, because they know that the limits are there and these limits are explained to them, they will be able to handle the patient's condition better. With that, I would like to thank Ms. Kaura, to you for coming in over here, and Mrs. Syriac for explaining to the students so very nicely about the guidance and counseling, and I'm sure you are benefited from the discussion which is held today in the studio. Thank you very much. I have not got any response from any of the regional centers, and I wish we had some calls from all of you. Thank you very much.